Hey everyone, welcome back to our next session. You might recognize our next speaker. He is a returning speaker to GPT Dreamin'. Andrew Cook is a technical instructor and author at Salesforce Ben. He's been in the Salesforce ecosystem for 12 years and holds 14 certifications to show for it. He's the author of Trailblazing Depression and is your guide to determining whether or not your org data is ready for Einstein, which you should recognize as a common theme from some of the previous sessions today. So please give him a warm welcome as he joins and drop some comments in the chat for Andrew Cook.
As Mark said, I'm Andrew Cook, Salesforce technical instructor at Salesforce Ben. I've started with been in the Salesforce ecosystem for 12 years now, I think. Started as an end user in telecoms, and now here I am, Salesforce Ben technical instructor. I'm also a super mum's mentor, which is really cool, something I really enjoy doing. And I was also part of the Salesforce credentialing team as part of the AI associate certification. So anyone that's taken that or thinking of taking that, you've got me. You've got me to thank for that, along with the other guys on the team. So before we start, I just want to give a big shout out to GPT Dreaming sponsors, Elements Cloud and AI Force. I think I've spoken at quite a lot of events now, but I find that this one is quite unique in just the way it's organized. And bearing in mind this time last year, probably not many of us even knew GPT was a thing. And yeah, here we are now on our second GPT Dreaming. So yeah, again, a big shout out to Elements Cloud and AI Force for just putting it on for us. So what is Einstein AI? So it's essentially it's a layer of artificial intelligence that's integrated within the Salesforce platform, and it was first introduced back in 2016. So it's not particularly new in terms of a technology. Um, so it's designed to bring AI capabilities to various Salesforce products, so helping businesses automate tasks, make smart decisions, and just personalize customer experiences. So it uses data from Salesforce to provide predictions and recommendations tailored to the needs of the business and its customers. Hence the session tailored around the data quality aspects. And it can also analyze data, spot trends, and even predict future customer behavior, all of which can be used to improve sales, marketing, and customer service efforts as well. So I'm going to show some examples of Einstein AI. So first, we've got Einstein lead scoring, which automatically scores leads, sales leads, prioritizes them based on how likely they are to convert, and helps the sales teams focus their efforts more effectively. Then we've got opportunity insights, which provide predictions and recommendations about sales deals, such as what are likely to close and what steps they could take to increase the chances of them closing. Next is forecasting, which offers AI-driven sales forecasts, giving managers insights into things like expected revenue and helping with more accurate planning. Einstein next best actions, which suggests the next best action to take with a customer using predictive analysis to offer a personalized recommendation that can improve customer satisfaction and increase sales. We've also got chatbots. It enables the creation of intelligent conversational bots that can assist customers with common inquiries and tasks, improves customer experience, and also frees up human agents for more complex issues that may come up. There's also Einstein Vision, which allows developers to build AI-powered apps that can recognize and classify images, which is useful for product identification, brand detection in social media images, etc. And lastly, Einstein Language, which provides natural language processing capabilities, enabling apps to understand customer sentiment, classifies the intent of customer inquiries, and extracts relevant information from text. So one thing you'll probably notice is that I haven't mentioned any of the more recent Einstein AI products, such as Copilot, Skills Builder, Model Builder, etc. The main reason for that is the rules around what we're talking about are all the same. It's just I wanted to highlight more the fact that there are a lot of AI products that Salesforce have had released for a long time, and it's just a good to understand that the AI revolution with Salesforce didn't happen. It didn't start last year. It started back in 2016. So the importance of good data. So, what we mean with good quality data in Salesforce, it's just super important for a lot of different reasons. So it allows better decision making. So when you've got accurate and up to date information, you can make better decisions that are easier and more reliable. So you know you're basing your choices on what's really happened rather than guessing or using information that's not totally accurate. It will improve customer relationships because if you've got good data, it means you can tailor your services or products to fit what people want or need, making them happier and more likely to stick around in the long run as a customer. It increases efficiency. So clean and organized data means less time digging through messy or incorrect information. It saves everyone's time and lets your team focus on the things that really matter, be it selling or helping customers. You've got better marketing as well. So with quality data, your marketing efforts are more targeted and effective. So you know who to reach out to with what message and when. So your marketing campaigns are more likely to hit the mark, which wouldn't necessarily be the case if the data wasn't as accurate as it should be. Always a fun one, you've got compliance and security. So many industries have rules about managing customer data. High quality data ensures you're in line with the regulations and reduces the risk of any sort of legal troubles. So yeah, basically, good data is important, but it's a good idea to think of good quality data as almost like the foundation of a house, or in this case, your business. So if the foundation is solid, it's more likely to be sturdy and not fall down. Whereas if you've got poor data, like a shaky foundation, eventually things might start to crumble. So I'm just going to go through a few different Salesforce specific examples, touching on what we just spoke about. So we've got Salesforce forecasting. So if you imagine Salesforce being used to predict how much sales a company will make in the next quarter if the data entered is incomplete or inaccurate. So, for example, if a sales rep forget to update deal statuses or enter the wrong amounts, the forecast will be off. So your good data means it's accurate, it's complete, and it being timely means that everything will be up to date and the forecast will be accurate. Next, we've got customer service. So if you're using Salesforce to manage customer support cases, so if the customer information is outdated or incorrect, such as the contact details being wrong or the customer history being incomplete, your service agents might not be able to provide the timely or personalized help to them. So this could lead to unhappy customers, whereas good data in this context means it's up to date. You've got comprehensive customer records that enable your agents to quickly understand the issue and provide effective solutions. So next, we've got marketing campaigns. So if you've got Salesforce helping in targeting customers with marketing campaigns, if the data preferences are incorrect, I mean, GDPR, I remember when GDPR first came out and how much of a pain that was for things like this. So in that sense, good data just means having detailed, accurate profiles that allow for personalized and effective marketing campaigns, and also making sure that people are getting the information that they've requested. And finally, lead management. So I'm sure everyone here knows that Salesforce, one of the best features of it is lead and opportunity management. If your leads are not properly categorized, or if there's missing information about where they came from or level of interest, anything like that, then the sales teams might prioritize poor leads and miss out on potential better sales. So in this case, the good data ensures that leads are accurately tracked and scored, and it helps the sales team to focus on where they're more likely to succeed. So now I'm going to go on to field types. So with Salesforce, we all know that there are many different field types. I didn't realize just how many until I went through this list, and it is substantial, to say the least. So I'm going to touch on some ones that you don't really need to worry too much about in terms of data quality, because they pretty much do what they say. So in that sense, we've got auto number, which is the system generated sequence number that displays a format that you define. So the numbers all automatically incremented for each new record that's created. Next, we've got formula fields, which are read-only, derived from a formula expression that you define. So the only way a formula is going to show the wrong information is if the formula syntax is wrong in the first place. Next, you've got roll-up summaries, which are, again, read-only, that displays some minimum or maximum based on a master detail relationship. Lookup relationships, where you've got that link between this object and two objects, and the relationship is based on that lookup. And then you've got external lookup relationships, so creating a relationship that links to an object with an external object where the data is stored maybe outside of your Salesforce tool. So those are the ones that you don't really need to worry about in terms of data quality, because there's very little you can do to get them wrong. I'm now going to go through all of the other field types that you've got with Salesforce. And some of them will be a lot easier to get wrong than others. So we'll start with the checkbox, which is what it says, allows users to select true or false. So the checkbox, again, is unlikely to get wrong because it's either yes or no. It's quite difficult for a user to get that wrong, although that's not saying that they won't. Next, you've got a currency field. So again, the data type is going to be what it says. So things like opportunity amounts, things like that are all going to be currency based. Next, you've got dates, which allows a user to enter a date or pick a date from a pop-up calendar. Date time, which is similar to the previous, just with the time as well. Email, which will be formatted so only a valid email address can be entered in. Again, unlikely to get wrong, although there's instances where you may not want specific email domains being entered. And that's something that I'll touch on in a little bit. Geolocation, so allowing users to define locations, including longitude, latitude. I've never really had to use this, but again, it's something that you're not really going to get wrong. Number, what it says on the tin, just entering a number. And you've got percentage as well, which is similar to number. So those are two that can sometimes be interchangeable. and sometimes people use one when they mean the other. Phone, which will allow user to enter a phone number and it will format based on the phone numbers. Pick list, which is one of the better field types in terms of accurate data, as you're only allowing users to select from a specific list of values. Multi-select pick lists, which I know is a bit of a grey area for some people. I personally quite like them from a user interface perspective. Obviously, from a reporting standpoint, they have their issues, which a lot of people have documented already. Then we've got all of our text fields, which are probably the most problematic in terms of data quality, as people can literally put whatever they want into them if there aren't any proper restrictions or validations in place. Then we've got time. So just entering a time field again, it's unlikely you can get that wrong. And then finally a URL, which is again what it says, and allows users to just click on the URL and then go to that relevant page. So those are all of the field types within Salesforce. So there's obviously some that are better for data quality than others. And I'm now going to go into how you can avoid some of those data quality issues with certain fields. So simply having the right field type doesn't guarantee the quality of the data inside. If you're wondering who said that, it was me. There I am. So what I mean by that is if, for example, you've got a custom field created as a pick list or a checkbox, that doesn't necessarily mean that your users will enter good, accurate data into those fields. They could not enter anything in there. They could check a checkbox as true when it should be false. Or they could select the wrong values in the pick list. So what can we do about this? So first of all, we've got required fields. So in Salesforce, required fields are those fields that must be filled out before a record can be saved to the database. So these are essential for the database to have the minimum necessary information about the record. And you can set required fields for different reasons and in different ways, which is what I'm going to go through. So there's also some fields that are automatically required. So such as name on many standard objects like accounts or contacts. You can't change the status of those. They're just always required. So I'm just going to show you quickly what I mean by that. Just make sure that I'm still sharing. Yeah, there we go. Still sharing. Good stuff. So if I go into, for example, like we just said, the account's name. If we go into view field accessibility, account name, so you can see that automatically it's required. And if I was to go in and try to change that, it won't allow me. It's always required. I can't change that. That's just how the field has been created. If I then go to a different field, such as, let's take active, so you can see that this is editable, but I can also go in and change this. So here I can change it to read only. Or it's a check because of the profile, I can't change it to required, but I would be able to run another profile. So as you can see, that's just one of the ways that we can that a field is required. So this is on the field level. So if it's set as required on a field level, that will show everywhere, regardless of page layouts or anything like that, which I'm going to touch on in a minute. also regarding this, if you've got a field that is automatically required, sorry, my went blank there. If it is automatically required, when you're using your dynamic forms, if you don't have one of those fields on the page, you'll get an error message to say that you should really have this on the page. Make sure my screen is still working. Good stuff. So that's required fields. So next we've got page layouts, which is what I just mentioned briefly. So in Salesforce, page layouts, they play a crucial role in customizing how records are displayed to the user. So they allow you to organize fields, related lists, custom links, things like that. And essentially page layouts control the arrangement and visibility of these elements when your users view or edit a record. So here's a bit of a breakdown of what page layouts can do. So you've got your full field organization, where you can arrange the fields in a logical order or grouping, so making it easier for users to find the information that they need. You've got your related lists, where there's sections on a record page that show the list, such as contacts related to an account or opportunities. Opportunities related to a contact, and you can customize which lists show and in what order. Then you've got your custom links and buttons. So if you've got any of these that users may need access to, you can include those on your page layouts. Then you've got your sections and tabs, which allows you to organize field information into sections and helps you keep the page uncluttered. You've then got your control based on profiles. So different page layouts can be assigned to different profiles, which allows you to tailor the user experience based on the role of the user. So it means that you can show more detailed information to managers while keeping the simpler layout for other users, for example. So page layouts are a powerful tool for Salesforce admins to enhance user experience and improve data entry accuracy. And for anyone that is not familiar with page layouts, this is the example of the account one, and where I was talking about making fields required. You can see here with the account name, it's got the red star next to it, which shows that it's a required field, which I can't change. And then if I went to any other field, I can change that to required there. So obviously, page layouts aren't the go-to anymore. We've now got dynamic forms, which offer a more granular level of customization and control over the UI compared to the traditional page layouts. So they bring the concept of record page customization to the next level by allowing fields and sections to be displayed more dynamically. And here's a few ideas of how they differ from traditional page layouts. So unlike page layouts that allow you to organize fields and related lists in a static manner, the dynamic forms give the ability for more, for them to, as they say, for them to be dynamic. So it means you can break away from the standard block of fields and intersperse them with other components on the page. They're dynamic in visibility. So one of the key features is that you can show or hide fields in dynamic forms based on certain criteria, such as the value of other fields on the record. So for example, there may be a checkbox on your record, and if that box is checked, it then shows some other fields that wouldn't previously be showing. It's also got improved page performance. So by loading only the necessary fields and sections, dynamic forms can improve the performance and making them load faster and provide just a better user experience overall. The layout management is a lot easier. So managing the fields and the sections is done directly in the Lightning App Builder, providing a more intuitive visual approach to designing the pages. So it reduces the complexity of managing multiple page layouts for different profiles or record types. You've got your enhanced user experience as well. So by tailoring the visibility of fields and sections to the context of the records or the user's role, for example, dynamic forms create a more personalized and efficient experience for users. So they no longer need to sift through possibly some irrelevant fields or information, and they can see just what they need to see. So in summary, while traditional page layouts offer a static way to organize and display fields, dynamic forms, as the name suggests, is a more dynamic and flexible performance, optimizing an optimized alternative that can be customized at a much finer granularity. And just for reference, here is an example of a dynamic form on one of my page layouts, and you can see at the just reloading. You can see at the side you've got your UI behavior of if it's read only or if it's required. And again, if we go to account name, you can see that that's required and we can't change that. Stephen, I'm just going to quickly touch on that. This presentation doesn't show any Einstein GPT features. This is all about the data quality rather than those kind of tools. Right, next, we've got country and state pick list, which is something that I don't think people utilize enough, to be honest, from a data quality standpoint. So it's a feature that it simplifies and standardizes the way users can enter country and state information in records. So these pick lists replace the standard text fields for country and states with drop-down menus and ensures the data is consistent across all records. And this standardization is just crucial for maintaining clean data, especially for like global organizations that deal with addresses from many different countries. I think countries as well is such an important field to get right. And I think that this tool is one of the best ways of doing so. So there's a lot of different ways that the country and state pick list can benefit your Salesforce org suite. It provides consistency. So they enforce a consistent format that everyone needs to adhere to. So you won't get things like records where United Kingdom is saved for some address fields and UK is saved for another, for example. The data quality is improved. Reporting is easier as it's more consistent. Creating the reports and segmenting the data based on location becomes a lot easier and more reliable. It works a lot better with integrations. So a good example of this is what was Pardot. I remember when I previously used that, this was one thing that I needed to implement just to make sure that the two systems played well together. Customization. So one of the really good things about this is that you can customize the pick lists to your liking. So Salesforce gives some out of the box options when you turn it on, but you don't need to adhere to them. If you're a company that only works in the United States, for example, you can just have the pick lists turned on for the US states, and you don't need to have them turned on for other ones, for example. It gives localization support, so the pick lists are more localized, meaning they can display country and state names in the local languages of the UI. And yeah, so just activating them. So it involves the process can be quite long-winded depending on the amount of data you've got, but I can give you a quick overview of how that will look. So here you've got your state and country options. So first of all, you will configure the states, countries, and territories, which is what I just mentioned briefly. Next, Salesforce will do a scan of your entire org. You will then need to convert any identified data. So this, for me, was what was the most long-winded part, because if you've got hundreds of thousands of records, you need to map the countries for those. So if you've got different iterations of United States, USA, U.S.A, they all need to be mapped individually into the United States pick list. But once you've done it, this is a one-time activation process, and once you've done that, it's good to go. And then you can also disable it, unlike some other Salesforce features. I don't know why you'd want to, but the option's there if you do want to. So next, validation rules, probably what we all know as one of the most utilized tools for data validation. So for those that aren't aware, validation rules are a declarative way to enforce data integrity and business logic at the field level. They allow you to specify certain criteria that must be met before a user can save a record. And if a record doesn't meet the criteria, it displays an error message either on that field or at the top of the record page, depending on how you choose to set it up. And it just ensures that the data entered meets your standards for how you want your data to look. Some points on validation rules. So the criterion formulas is pretty straightforward, to be honest. It's either a true or false statement. If the statement equals true, then the validation fires. If it's false, then it allows the record to be saved. You've got your error messages, which you customize when you're creating the rule. And like I said previously, you specify where that shows. So you can either have it at the top of the page or next to the field where the data quality issue is. That's probably the better way to do it, as users are more likely to see it next to the field and know to act on that field. It gives context-specific rules, so they can be applied to all users or be made specific to certain roles or profiles. So there might be instances where you want certain profiles, such as the system administrator, to not adhere to those to the rule specified within the in the validation rule. In which case, you can do that. There's so many use cases for validation rules. So they help with data completeness, maintaining data formats, so things like phone numbers, postal or zip codes, things like that. You can also use them to enforce business logic, such as start dates must be before end dates, and just preventing illogical data entries such as percentages not being over 100%, for example. And I mean, while there are a lot of good examples for when there's to use these, there are also some limitations. But overusing them may make data entry cumbersome and leads to user frustration. It's important to strike a good balance between ensuring data quality and providing a good user experience. It's also one thing to bear in mind as well that any sort of Apex that you've got running in the background will also adhere to validation rules. So that's one thing just to bear in mind as well. Setting them up is fairly straightforward. It's all done in the Salesforce setup menu under the necessary object, which I'll show it in a second if you've not seen that. And testing and deployment as well is really important for these. you should always test them in a sandbox before deploying to production. It just helps that you know that they work as intended and they're not going to break anything once they get pushed into production. So validation rules are quite essential in maintaining your high quality data, which is crucial. And the whole point I'm doing this this talk. So yeah, they empower organizations to automate checks on data integrity and enforce business rules directly within the platform. And it's good where they're fully customizable because you can tailor them to your business, which every business is unique. So here is an example of where we would go. So under the object, we've got our validation rules section right at the bottom. And to create a new one, you just hit the new button. You'd give it a name. It's always good to give it a description so people know what it's doing. And if an admin leaves or someone joins, they can easily understand what's going on. And then you can create your formula here, give your error message, and like we said, with the error location, you can choose top of the page or select the field that it runs on. Apex. So I'm not going to go into too much detail on validating data with Apex because that's probably an entire session in itself. But it's important to know that data can be validated with Apex classes and triggers. And using Apex in Salesforce allows you to perform complex data validations that go beyond what maybe your standard validations can do. And also give you the flexibility of writing the custom logic to check data integrity and enforces business rules that may not be possible with standard validation rules. So just some examples of how you can use Apex to validate data. You can have trigger-based validation. It can be class-based. You can use custom settings or custom metadata for validation rules. You can handle bulk data processing. One thing to bear in mind with any of the validations within Apex is that you need to ensure that you've got your comprehensive unit tests that cover your validation logic. So Salesforce requires at least 75% code coverage, but it's a good idea to aim for 100%, just so you know that you've got everything covered. And yeah, I mean, in a nutshell, using Apex for data validation, it allows you to implement sophisticated business logic that maybe can't be achieved through declarative functions alone. It's just bearing in mind, if you're going to go down the Apex route for validations, follow best practices kind of for bulkification. Finally got the word out, and testing just to ensure that they perform how you need them to perform. Duplicate rules. So in Salesforce, we've got duplicate rules to help us maintain the quality of our data by preventing duplicate records. So they're part of the duplicate management functionality, which also include matching rules to define what constitutes duplicate. And they allow you to specify how the system should handle attempts to create or update records that match existing records based on a certain criteria that you've set out. So this is kind of how duplicate rules work. So first of all, you identify the duplicates when a user tries to save a record, either creating or updating. Salesforce uses the matching rule to compare the record against existing data. If the system finds a match, it identifies these records as potential duplicates. You've then got your action on detection. So the rule determines what happens next, which you can configure to either block the creation, um, or allow it with a warning to the user, or allow it without a warning. So the action can depend on the context, such as whether the operation is taking place in the UI or via the API, or in other contexts like data imports and things like that. The next, you've got your alert and report options. So you can set up the rules to specific users or groups, but when a dupe is detected, it enables a quick action to address the issues. Furthermore, duplicate records set and reports can be generated to analyze and manage dupes across your Salesforce org. That's a really good tool to use to be able to keep an eye on things and make sure that you've not got lots of duplicates being maybe coming from a particular source and things like that. Next, we've got customization. So you can highly customize duplicate rules and set them only on specific objects. So like your contacts, your leads, accounts, and you can have multiple rules per object as well to handle different scenarios you may have within your business. You've also got your user permissions and exceptions, so you can specify if certain profiles or permission sets are allowed to bypass the rules, similar to the system admin an example we gave with the validation rules. And they're also integrated with both Lightning and Classic. I know that most people now will be using Lightning, but it's good to know that they're still working with Classic if you need it. So the data quality analysis dashboard. So one thing that I'm going to do with this is just paste the URL in the chat in case anyone wants to download it, because it is a really, really good tool. And it's a free download from the App Exchange, and it just helps you monitor and improve the quality of your data within your org by providing some pre-built reports and dashboards, which I'm going to quickly show you, because with things like dashboards, it's just nicer to see. So I installed this earlier today, and straight away it creates a new folder for the data quality analysis, and you've got your different reports that it's created straight away. So if I go to my high level, this will literally give a high level overview of the data quality across my org. So my account data quality is not great. Contact data is okay, etc. So if I then kind of drill down into another dashboard on the accounts, contacts, and opportunities, you can see that the data is more granular. I can really dive into what the issues may be. And one of the good things about this as well is that where it's a pre-installed app, you can alter the reports and dashboards based on what you need. So out of the box, it gives you the standard reports and dashboards, but you can customize them further based on your business. And lastly, I just want to talk about defining your data standards. I think this is really critical, and I don't think many people do this at the moment. So I think just outlining your data standards, it helps everyone in your organization understand how to enter and maintain the data. And just here's a good idea of how you can do this. So you can identify some key stakeholders and get in their buy-in so that it's getting pushed by the right people. Next, determine your critical data elements, so the most important fields that you want accurately reported on. Next, possibly naming conventions, so defining things for records, fields, and data. So, for example, you may have a standard format that you want your opportunity name to be used in. in which case you could use something like a validation rule for that. Next, you've got your field level standards. So for each critical field, just determining the type of data it should be, the format, any validation rules around them, whether it needs to be mandatory or optional. Next, you can define your data entry and maintenance processes. So all of the different processes around that, be it user input, if any integrations are going to be set in them, things like that. Any validation rules, utilizing pick lists and dependent pick lists, creating documentation and training materials. I think this is a really important one because it's all well and good having this kind of thing in place, but if no one knows about it in your organization, then no one's going to adhere to it. Monitoring and reviewing, this is also something that's really important, so you can constantly monitor what's going on with your organ, seeing if there's any things that may be slipping through the cracks potentially. And then finally, data governance. So it's always good having maybe a committee or someone's role being responsible for overseeing the data standards and addressing any data quality issues. So I think by implementing these data standards, you create a foundation of higher quality data in Salesforce, which in turn will make sure that any AI features that you're using will just work as well as they need to and as well as you want them to. So I'm wrapping up now. So I'm just going to go over a few different resources that you can take advantage of. So first of all, sorry, excuse me, there is the data quality, where there's the managed data as a Salesforce admin trial on Salesforce, which is really useful for understanding the things I've spoken about at kind of a deeper level. There's then the super badge for the data quality specialist, which would kind of put all of those things into practice. And then there is a course that I made through Salesforce Blend courses for GPT mastery. So that's something that I created back in the back end of last year, and it's recently been updated with kind of some new features as well.